When a woman chooses to walk alone, she is often seen as strong, independent, and resilient. But beyond these perceptions lies a profound experience that only solitude can offer, a path that holds power, clarity, and an unbreakable connection to her own purpose. Solitude is often misunderstood as loneliness, as if it represents an absence of companionship or support. But for those who embrace it, solitude is not a void, it's a wellspring of insight and power that few realize. Walking alone doesn't mean being cut off from the world or rejecting companionship. Instead, it means cultivating an unshakable relationship with oneself, a commitment to honor the voice within. When a woman walks alone, she steps away from the expectations, opinions, and judgments of others. Society often projects a certain image of what success, happiness, and even strength should look like, and we can unconsciously absorb these definitions. Walking alone offers a moment of release from these constraints, a space where you're free to shape your own journey and question the limits imposed upon you. In that space of solitude, she isn't limited by the parameters set by others. Instead, she is invited to examine her desires, values, and dreams without external pressure. Here she can uncover what truly matters, who she truly is, and what she genuinely wants to achieve. This walk alone is both powerful and humbling. There is a raw honesty in confronting one's own thoughts, beliefs, and limitations without distraction. When walking alone, there is no external voice that can drown out your own. No one is there to either confirm or deny your fears or hopes. It's a quiet, intense experience where you become fully responsible for the narrative in your mind. In that space, you recognize just how much of your identity has been shaped by others' expectations. She can see her insecurities for what they are, not shadows cast by outside judgments, but obstacles that she has the power to dismantle. To walk alone means learning to trust oneself fully and without compromise. Often we look outside ourselves for validation, for someone to confirm that we're doing well, that we're on the right path. But this reliance on external validation weakens our trust in our own judgment. When a woman chooses to walk alone, she becomes the one who decides what is valuable, what is worthy, and what is possible. This trust in oneself isn't an overnight achievement. It is something that builds over time, strengthened with each decision made from a place of integrity and inner alignment. It's the trust that says, even if no one else understands or agrees, I believe in my path. A woman who walks alone is someone who has chosen a path of self-discovery, a path where she can confront her own fears without the cushion of someone else's comfort. In solitude, she learns to sit with discomfort, to look into the face of her doubts and anxieties and to work through them, not around them. These moments are transformative. When she doesn't have someone else to soothe her, she learns how to self-soothe, to find peace within her own heart and mind. She begins to see that resilience is not about never feeling fear or sadness, but about understanding that these feelings are temporary. Walking alone teaches her that she can navigate through any storm because she has become her own anchor. In this journey, she also discovers a well of creativity, an internal compass that guides her decisions and actions. Solitude allows the mind to wander, to play with possibilities, to dream without interruption. When she is alone, she can explore ideas that may seem unconventional or too daring. She learns to rely on her imagination and intuition, two qualities often undervalued but immensely powerful. Her creativity becomes her ally, a source of inspiration and innovation that helps her see beyond what's immediately visible. She realizes that her journey, though solitary, is full of potential, filled with moments that allow her to create, shape, and define her own experiences. Walking alone, a woman learns to become comfortable with her own company. She understands that being alone doesn't mean being lonely, it means being complete. She sees that happiness is not something handed to her by others, but something cultivated within. Her joy becomes something internal, rooted in her own self-acceptance and gratitude. She doesn't need others to make her feel whole because she is already complete. This independence isn't about pushing others away or living in isolation, rather. It's about bringing a sense of wholeness into her relationships. Her strength allows her to engage with others from a place of generosity, not need. In solitude, she begins to see the world differently. She recognizes that external circumstances don't define her, her responses to them do. She learns to take ownership of her reactions, realizing that she is the one who assigns meaning to her experiences. By walking alone, she gains the power to interpret situations from her own perspective, uncolored by others' perceptions. This perspective shift allows her to approach life with a sense of agency, knowing that she is in control of her thoughts, emotions, and ultimately her destiny. Walking alone isn't just a path to self-discovery, it's a path to empowerment. By embracing solitude, she cultivates a resilience that can only be born from within. She becomes her own greatest advocate, her own source of motivation. She is no longer swayed by fleeting opinions because she has developed a deep inner confidence that remains steady regardless of external validation. The quality of our inner dialogue shapes the quality of our lives. What we tell ourselves in our most private moments has the power to build us up or break us down. Yet so often, this internal dialogue can be negative, filled with self-doubt, criticism, and fear. These thoughts creep in quietly, sometimes so subtly that we don't even notice them, but their effects are profound. They dictate our actions, our feelings, and ultimately our reality. If a woman can master her inner dialogue, she holds the key to transforming her entire life. This process begins with awareness, realizing that every thought we think carries energy, and that we have the power to choose what kind of energy we want to bring into our lives. Negative feelings often stem from automatic, unexamined thoughts that have become patterns over time. For instance, when we face a challenge or setback, our minds may default to thinking, "I'm not good enough, I always mess things up, or nothing ever works out for me." These thoughts may feel real in the moment, but they're rarely rooted in objective truth. Instead, they reflect our fears, insecurities, and past experiences, replaying in a way that limits our potential. To master the inner dialogue means breaking this automatic cycle and challenging these assumptions. When a woman actively questions her negative thoughts, she weakens their power. She can begin to see that these are just thoughts, not facts, not truths, but ideas that she has the ability to change. Changing one's inner dialogue is not about pretending that negative thoughts don't exist. It's about acknowledging them and choosing not to let them define you. The goal is not to ignore fears or doubts, but to face them and decide what you want to do with them. Instead of letting a negative thought dictate her emotions or actions, a woman who masters her inner dialogue learns to observe that thought objectively. She might think, "I notice that I'm feeling doubtful about this," rather than, "I am full of doubt, so I must not be capable." By creating this distance, she can respond to her thoughts with intention rather than reactivity. This subtle shift in language might seem small, but it makes a profound difference in how she experiences her emotions. An essential part of mastering the inner dialogue is learning to replace limiting beliefs with empowering ones. Once she becomes aware of her negative thoughts, she can consciously introduce new ideas that uplift rather than undermine her. For example, if she's accustomed to thinking, "I'm not talented enough," she can begin replacing it with, "I am learning and growing every day." If her default is to think, "I'll never succeed at this," she can start saying, "I'm committed to trying my best no matter the outcome." Replacing negative thoughts with positive affirmations may feel uncomfortable or even forced at first, but with consistency, these new thoughts take root, shifting her mindset and her reality over time. Another powerful tool in mastering inner dialogue is visualization. When a woman visualizes herself succeeding, achieving her goals, or overcoming her fears, she is actively directing her mind towards a positive outcome. Visualization isn't just daydreaming, it's a mental rehearsal that prepares her for real-life challenges. By vividly imagining her success, she creates a mental blueprint that her mind and body can follow. This process helps her align her actions with her goals, making it easier to stay motivated and focused even when obstacles arise. Visualization also helps her counteract negativity by giving her a clear image of what she's working toward. It creates a mental home that she can return to when doubts or negative feelings surface, reinforcing her belief in herself and her potential. To truly master her inner dialogue, a woman must also cultivate self-compassion. So often we're harder on ourselves than anyone else, holding ourselves to unrealistic standards and punishing ourselves for every perceived failure or flaw. Self-compassion means treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend. When a negative thought arises, instead of berating herself for feeling that way, she can respond with compassion. "It's okay that I feel this way. This is a part of my journey and I'm learning from it." Self-compassion doesn't mean making excuses or avoiding responsibility. It means acknowledging that growth is a process and that mistakes are a natural part of that process. When a woman practices self-compassion, she weakens the grip of self-criticism, allowing her inner dialogue to become more supportive and constructive. Journaling is another effective method to gain control over the inner dialogue. Writing down her thoughts allows a woman to see them objectively outside of herself. In this process, she can identify recurring negative patterns and explore the root causes of her fears and doubts. Journaling provides clarity, helping her understand where her negative thoughts come from and why they persist. Once she has this understanding, she's in a stronger position to challenge and change them. Writing also creates a space for her to express her emotions fully without judgment. By putting her thoughts on paper, she releases the hold on her mind, making it easier to replace them with empowering beliefs. Gratitude is another powerful antidote to negative thinking. When a woman focuses on what she's grateful for, she redirects her mind from what's lacking to what's abundant in her life. This shift in perspective changes the energy of her inner dialogue, fostering positivity and resilience. Practicing gratitude doesn't mean ignoring challenges, it means choosing to see the full picture, including the good that exists even in difficult situations. When she's aware of what she's grateful for, she's less likely to be overwhelmed by negativity. Instead, her mind becomes attuned to possibility, helping her see opportunities rather than obstacles. The journey of mastering the inner dialogue is ongoing. It requires patience, persistence, and a commitment to growth. There will be days when old patterns resurface, when negative thoughts seem louder than usual. But each time she consciously chooses a positive response, each time she challenges a limiting belief, she strengthens her inner resolve. This mastery isn't about achieving perfection, it's about creating a mind that supports rather than sabotages her. It's about building a foundation of thoughts that empower her to move forward with confidence no matter what life brings. Self-reliance is a trait that, once embraced, transforms the way a woman sees herself and the world around her. In a world that often encourages dependency on external approval, validation, or guidance, choosing to rely on oneself becomes a radical act of empowerment. To rely on oneself means trusting in one's own abilities, judgment, and worth, regardless of external circumstances. This self-reliance isn't about rejecting support or isolating oneself from others. Rather, it's about cultivating an inner strength that is unwavering, even when others might falter or when life becomes challenging. When a woman becomes self-reliant, she builds a foundation of confidence that no one can take from her because it is rooted in her own identity and strength. Developing self-reliance begins with building a deep sense of trust in oneself. This trust is not always automatic. It often requires conscious effort and deliberate action to foster. Society often sends subtle and overt messages that women should seek validation or guidance from others, be it in personal relationships, professional roles, or even simple daily decisions. This conditioning can lead to doubt and hesitation, making it easy to overlook the power that lies within. But by choosing self-reliance, a woman begins to shift her mindset. Instead of asking, what do others think, she asks, what do I think? Instead of waiting for someone to confirm her decisions, she learns to find confidence in her own judgment. This shift may seem subtle, but it's the start of profound personal transformation. By trusting herself, she aligns her actions with her true desires and beliefs, creating a life that reflects her authentic self. Self-reliance means embracing responsibility not just for successes but for failures too. In a world where it's easy to point fingers, blame circumstances, or deflect accountability, taking full responsibility for one's own actions is both rare and powerful. When a woman chooses self-reliance, she understands that her path is shaped by her choices, and she takes ownership of them, knowing that each decision builds her character and resilience. Mistakes no longer become sources of shame or guilt, but are viewed as learning opportunities. She recognizes that each setback, each wrong turn, is a valuable experience that strengthens her resolve and sharpens her wisdom. By taking responsibility, she frees herself from the limitations of dependency on others' approval or opinions, finding instead a liberating sense of autonomy. Self-reliance also nurtures adaptability. A woman who learns to rely on herself becomes adept at navigating change and uncertainty. Life is filled with unforeseen challenges, and when we lean too heavily on external support, we risk becoming destabilized when that support is unavailable. But a self-reliant woman is equipped to face uncertainty because she has cultivated the skills, resilience, and inner fortitude to handle whatever comes her way. She becomes her own compass, guided by her internal sense of direction rather than the changing tides of external circumstances. This adaptability doesn't mean she is unaffected by change, rather. It means she is able to face it with courage and a sense of agency, knowing that she has the inner resources to find her way. Financial independence is a key component of self-reliance, though it's not the only factor. For many, financial stability represents freedom, the ability to make choices and pursue goals without being tethered to someone else's financial support. A woman who builds financial self-reliance gains the freedom to make decisions that align with her values and aspirations rather than being bound by economic dependence. Achieving financial independence is often challenging, requiring discipline, foresight, and sometimes sacrifice, but it empowers a woman to control her own destiny. This independence brings with it a sense of security that enhances her overall confidence. She knows she has the means to support herself, which reinforces her ability to stand on her own 2 feet in all aspects of life. Self-reliance also transforms the way a woman engages in relationships. When she doesn't rely on others for validation or happiness, she's able to approach relationships from a place of wholeness. She's not looking for someone to complete her, but rather to complement the life she's already building for herself. This shifts the dynamics of her relationships, allowing her to create connections that are based on mutual respect rather than dependency. She enters relationships as an equal, a partner who brings value but doesn't need someone else to feel valued. This self-assurance enables her to set boundaries, communicate openly, and choose relationships that nurture rather than deplete her energy. In doing so, she enriches her connections with others because they are grounded in genuine respect and love, not out of a need for validation or support. By becoming self-reliant, a woman experiences a greater sense of freedom. She recognizes that her happiness, success, and fulfillment are within her control, not in the hands of anyone else. She can pursue her passions and goals without feeling limited by others' expectations or opinions. Her freedom doesn't mean she is indifferent to others, rather. It means she respects their paths while confidently walking her own. She becomes free to make choices that reflect her values, even when those choices differ from the norm. This freedom allows her to live authentically, unbound by fear of judgment or criticism. Each step she takes toward self-reliance is a step toward a life that is fully hers, a life where she can be true to herself without compromise. The journey to self-reliance requires resilience and perseverance. There will be moments of doubt, times when it may feel easier to lean on others rather than stand on her own. But with each challenge, she grows stronger. She learns that resilience isn't about never feeling vulnerable or uncertain. It's about moving forward despite those feelings. Each time she chooses to trust herself over seeking reassurance, each time she makes a decision based on her own judgment rather than the opinions of others, she reinforces her sense of self-reliance. In doing so, she becomes more resilient, capable of handling life's inevitable ups and downs with grace and confidence. Self-reliance, ultimately, is about creating a partnership with oneself. It's an inner alliance, a commitment to honor one's own needs, dreams, and ambitions. When a woman learns to be her own source of support, motivation, and encouragement, she builds an unbreakable foundation. This foundation becomes a steady presence, one that she can rely on regardless of what happens around her. She knows that no matter where life takes her, she has her own back. This sense of inner partnership allows her to feel secure, grounded, and capable regardless of external circumstances or the opinions of others. She becomes her own greatest ally, someone she can count on in every situation. Embracing failure as growth is a powerful mindset shift that transforms the way we view setbacks, challenges, and disappointments. In a society that often glorifies success and perfection, failure can feel like a weakness, a reason for shame, or even a reason to give up. But a woman who understands the value of failure recognizes that each stumble, mistake, or loss is a critical stepping stone toward her ultimate goals. She learns to view failure not as a dead end, but as a detour, guiding her towards something better, equipping her with lessons she could never have gained otherwise. This perspective allows her to move through life with resilience, courage, and an unwavering belief that every experience, whether perceived as a success or failure, holds value. Failure offers unique lessons that success simply cannot teach. When everything goes according to plan, there's little motivation to question, adapt, or improve. Success can lull us into a state of comfort, but failure shakes us out of complacency. When things don't go as expected, it forces us to analyze, reflect, and reevaluate. A woman who embraces failure looks beyond the initial sting of disappointment to uncover the lessons hidden within. She asks herself questions like, what could I have done differently? What can I learn from this experience? And how can this experience help me grow? By seeking these answers, she transforms failure into a tool for self-improvement. She begins to see that her setbacks are shaping her into a stronger, more capable version of herself. A crucial part of embracing failure is letting go of the fear associated with it. Fear of failure can be paralyzing, keeping us from taking risks, pursuing dreams, or stepping out of our comfort zones. It whispers that failure defines us, that a single mistake has the power to diminish our worth or potential. But when a woman decides to embrace failure, she challenges this fear head on. She understands that failure is not a reflection of her abilities or her value. It is simply an event, a temporary outcome that does not define her. By reframing her relationship with failure, she dismantles the power it holds over her, opening herself to opportunities she may have avoided out of fear. She becomes willing to try, to experiment, and to stretch herself beyond what feels comfortable, knowing that even if she stumbles, she will gain something valuable. Failure builds resilience, a quality that is essential for long-term success and personal fulfillment. Resilience is the ability to keep going despite setbacks, to maintain hope and determination in the face of obstacles. A woman who embraces failure strengthens her resilience each time she rises after a fall. She learns that she can survive disappointment, handle criticism, and move forward with dignity even when things don't go her way. Over time, she becomes less afraid of challenges because she knows that no matter what happens, she has the strength to persevere. This resilience becomes a core part of who she is, giving her a quiet confidence that sustains her through both the highs and lows of life. She no longer avoids difficult situations, but embraces them as opportunities to test and build her inner fortitude. Embracing failure also fosters creativity and innovation. When we are afraid of failing, we tend to stick to what feels safe, comfortable, or proven. But true growth requires stepping into the unknown, experimenting with new ideas, and being willing to fail in the pursuit of something greater. A woman who is unafraid of failure becomes a trailblazer, unafraid to question the status quo, try unconventional approaches, or think outside the box. She knows that even if her ideas don't work out, each attempt brings her closer to a breakthrough. Her willingness to risk failure becomes a source of inspiration, leading her to discover solutions and insights that others may overlook. In this way, failure fuels her creativity, encouraging her to push boundaries and explore possibilities without restraint. Another important benefit of embracing failure is the development of humility and empathy. Failure reminds us that we are human, that perfection is a myth, and that everyone has moments of struggle. When a woman experiences failure, she becomes more understanding and compassionate toward others facing their own challenges. She learns not to judge others based on their setbacks because she knows firsthand how valuable these experiences can be. This humility deepens her relationships and broadens her perspective, allowing her to connect with others on a more genuine level. Rather than viewing others as competitors or threats, she sees them as fellow travelers on the journey of growth, each facing their own trials and learning their own lessons. This empathy enriches her life, making her a more supportive friend, leader, and partner. In embracing failure, a woman also gains a deeper understanding of her own values and priorities. When things don't work out as planned, she is given an opportunity to reflect on what truly matters to her. Sometimes failure reveals that her goals were misaligned with her values or that she was pursuing something for the wrong reasons. This realization allows her to recalibrate, to realign her actions with her authentic desires. Each setback serves as a reminder to assess her motives, ensuring that she's moving forward with clarity and purpose. By embracing failure, she gains a clearer sense of who she is and what she truly wants, making her path more meaningful and intentional. One of the most empowering aspects of embracing failure is the freedom it brings. When a woman no longer fears failure, she liberates herself from the constraints of perfectionism. She becomes free to pursue her passions, take bold steps, and explore uncharted territory without the weight of unrealistic expectations. She understands that failure is not the end, it's part of the process. This freedom gives her the courage to live fully, to dream big, and to pursue her ambitions without holding back. She becomes willing to venture into new areas, secure in the knowledge that each step forward, whether successful or not, contributes to her growth. Embracing failure also teaches her the importance of patience and persistence. Success is rarely achieved overnight. It's often the result of many small efforts, trials, and corrections along the way. Each time she fails and tries again, she strengthens her resolve and patience, learning that progress is a gradual journey rather than an instant achievement. This patience allows her to stay committed to her goals, even when the path is challenging. She becomes more focused on the long-term rewards than on immediate results, understanding that her persistence will ultimately lead her to where she wants to be. Through failure, she learns to appreciate the journey, to find value in each step, and to trust that her efforts will bear fruit in time. Finally, by embracing failure, a woman cultivates self-acceptance and inner peace. She learns that her worth is not defined by her achievements, but by her courage to keep moving forward. Each failure becomes a reminder that she is resilient, capable, and deserving of growth. She no longer seeks validation from others or measures herself against external standards. Instead, she values herself for her willingness to learn, to grow, and to become the best version of herself. This acceptance brings a sense of peace that is grounded in her own sense of self-worth, a peace that remains steady regardless of the outcomes. Setting and upholding boundaries is one of the most transformative acts a woman can undertake for herself. Boundaries are the limits we establish to protect our time, energy, and emotional well-being, allowing us to maintain our integrity and foster healthy relationships. They are not walls built to shut others out, but rather guidelines that communicate what we are willing to accept and what we will not tolerate. For a woman walking her own path, boundaries are essential for preserving her strength, self-respect, and focus, empowering her to move forward without being weighed down by others' expectations, demands, or opinions. Boundaries create a space where she can grow, heal, and pursue her dreams on her own terms while respecting her needs and honoring her journey. A common misconception about boundaries is that they are selfish or harsh. In reality, boundaries are an expression of self-respect and self-love. They send a message to others that we value ourselves enough to protect what is important to us. When a woman establishes boundaries, she's acknowledging that her time, energy, and emotional health are worth preserving. This act of self-respect isn't just beneficial for her, it also creates clarity for those around her. People learn how to interact with her, what she will accept and what she will not. In this way, boundaries enhance relationships by fostering mutual respect and understanding. Rather than pushing people away, boundaries actually make relationships stronger by defining healthy limits and encouraging open, honest communication. Setting boundaries requires self-awareness. To establish boundaries that truly support her, a woman needs to understand her own values, priorities, and limits. She has to recognize what drains her energy, what makes her feel uncomfortable, and what compromises her well-being. This requires tuning into herself, listening to her feelings, and trusting her instincts. Often our bodies give us subtle signals when a boundary is being crossed: tension in the shoulders, a tightness in the chest, or a sense of unease. By paying attention to these signals, a woman can gain clarity on where her boundaries need to be. This process of self-discovery allows her to define boundaries that are unique to her needs and aspirations, rather than conforming to what others expect or want from her. Once boundaries are established, upholding them can be challenging, especially when faced with pushback or resistance. People who are accustomed to certain behaviors may react negatively when a woman begins to set limits. They may view her boundaries as rejection or perceive her newfoundness as a threat to the dynamics they're used to. In these moments, it's essential for her to stay rooted in her values and remember why she set those boundaries in the first place. Upholding boundaries isn't about controlling others, it's about protecting her peace and integrity. By standing firm, she signals to herself and others that her well-being is non-negotiable. This act of commitment reinforces her confidence, reminding her that she has the right to prioritize herself and her journey. Setting boundaries also involves learning to say no without guilt. Many women are conditioned to believe that they must accommodate others, even at the expense of their own needs. This conditioning can lead to guilt or discomfort when saying no, as if prioritizing oneself is inherently selfish. But saying no is a powerful act of self-preservation. It's a way of honoring one's own limits and making space for what truly matters. When a woman learns to say no, she liberates herself from the pressure to please everyone. She learns that she cannot be everything to everyone and that trying to do so only depletes her energy. By saying no to what doesn't serve her, she creates room for what does. She reserves her time and energy for the people, projects, and goals that align with her values and vision. Boundaries are not static, they evolve as a woman grows and changes. Life circumstances, relationships, and personal goals can shift over time, and boundaries must adapt accordingly. A boundary that served her well in the past may no longer be relevant or sufficient as she progresses on her journey. Therefore, she must regularly reassess her boundaries to ensure they continue to protect her well-being and support her growth. This adaptability allows her to remain true to herself and maintain a healthy balance in her relationships and responsibilities. By being flexible yet firm, she creates a dynamic space for herself where she can flourish without feeling restricted or overwhelmed. Establishing boundaries also enhances self-care. When a woman has clear boundaries, she is better able to dedicate time and energy to nurturing herself. She can create sacred moments for rest, reflection, and rejuvenation, free from external demands. This self-care isn't just about relaxation. It's about building a strong foundation for resilience and inner peace. With boundaries in place, she can recharge, reflect, and refocus, which ultimately makes her more effective in her pursuits and interactions with others. Boundaries allow her to be present with herself and to engage in activities that fulfill and restore her rather than constantly giving of herself until she's depleted. This practice of self-care strengthens her ability to face challenges with clarity and confidence, knowing she is fully supported by her own choices. Boundaries also play a vital role in protecting emotional health. Relationships that lack clear boundaries can lead to resentment, frustration, and emotional exhaustion. When a woman fails to set limits, she may find herself carrying others' burdens, sacrificing her own needs, or feeling responsible for others' happiness. By establishing boundaries, she protects herself from emotional entanglement and maintains a sense of autonomy. She recognizes that while she can be compassionate and supportive, she is not responsible for managing others' emotions or solving their problems. This emotional clarity frees her to experience relationships without losing herself in them, allowing her to be present and supportive without compromising her own well-being. One of the most empowering aspects of boundaries is the confidence they bring. Each time a woman enforces a boundary, she reaffirms her worth and her right to respect. This process builds her confidence as she learns to trust herself and prioritize her own needs without apology. By setting boundaries, she cultivates an inner strength that allows her to face challenges without losing her sense of self. This confidence radiates into every aspect of her life, influencing her decisions, her interactions, and her ability to pursue her goals. She no longer seeks approval or validation from others because she knows her worth and she honors it with every boundary she sets and upholds. Finally, boundaries empower a woman to focus on her purpose and passions. Without clear boundaries, it's easy to become sidetracked by others' agendas, constantly reacting to external demands instead of proactively pursuing one's own goals. Boundaries create the necessary space for her to dedicate time and energy to her passions, free from distractions. They allow her to focus on her personal growth, to work on projects that fulfill her, and to move forward with intention. Boundaries give her the freedom to invest in herself and her dreams, ensuring that her path remains true to her vision. By protecting her time and energy, she creates a life that is aligned with her values and ambitions, a life where she can pursue her goals without compromise. Practicing self-compassion is an essential skill for any woman who chooses to walk her own path, facing challenges and carving out a life on her terms. In a society that often emphasizes productivity, perfection, and outward success, it's easy to be harsh on oneself, especially when things don't go as planned. Self-compassion, however, allows her to turn inward with kindness rather than criticism, treating herself as she would a close friend. This inner gentleness becomes a powerful tool for resilience, helping her face challenges without the added weight of self-judgment. When she embraces self-compassion, she fosters an inner environment of acceptance, support, and understanding, which empowers her to bounce back from setbacks with strength and clarity. Self-compassion begins with acknowledging one's humanity. It's easy to think we should have everything figured out, that we should never make mistakes or feel weak. But self-compassion reminds a woman that, like everyone else, she is a human being navigating the complexities of life. Embracing her humanity means understanding that imperfection is natural, that setbacks are part of growth, and that she is not alone in her struggles. This perspective liberates her from the unrealistic expectation of always having to perform flawlessly, allowing her to focus on her journey rather than constantly critiquing herself. In doing so, she cultivates a healthy self-acceptance that doesn't demand perfection but celebrates her efforts, growth, and resilience. Practicing self-compassion also involves understanding and honoring her feelings. Society often encourages people to suppress or ignore difficult emotions, viewing them as weaknesses rather than valuable signals. But when a woman practices self-compassion, she allows herself to feel her emotions fully without judgment. She acknowledges her pain, frustration, disappointment, or sadness, recognizing these feelings as valid and real. Instead of pushing them aside, she listens to them, understanding that they are part of her experience and that they provide insight into her needs and desires. This willingness to honor her emotions fosters an inner sense of peace and balance, as she no longer battles herself but rather embraces her feelings as part of her unique journey. One powerful aspect of self-compassion is letting go of self-criticism. The inner critic often replays negative thoughts and doubts, telling her that she's not good enough, not smart enough, or not capable enough. These thoughts can be relentless, draining her energy and diminishing her self-worth. Self-compassion offers an alternative, replacing self-criticism with understanding and patience. Instead of chastising herself for mistakes, she acknowledges them as natural aspects of learning and growth. Rather than allowing her inner critic to define her worth, she reclaims her narrative by affirming her strengths and potential. Each time she chooses compassion over criticism, she builds a stronger, more confident self-image, unburdened by the unrealistic standards of perfectionism. Forgiveness is another essential element of self-compassion. Holding on to guilt, shame, or regret can become a heavy emotional burden, keeping her stuck in the past and preventing her from moving forward. Self-compassion allows her to forgive herself, recognizing that everyone makes mistakes and that these mistakes do not define her. By releasing the weight of regret, she frees herself to focus on the present and embrace new opportunities without being haunted by past missteps. Forgiving herself doesn't mean ignoring responsibility. Rather, it means acknowledging her actions, learning from them, and choosing to move forward with kindness and understanding. This process of self-forgiveness lightens her spirit and renews her motivation to pursue her goals with a clear mind and open heart. Self-compassion also promotes resilience in the face of challenges. When life becomes difficult, a self-compassionate woman doesn't turn against herself. She doesn't blame herself or dwell on her shortcomings. Instead, she supports herself through the hardship, offering words of encouragement and allowing herself the grace to navigate the situation at her own pace. This inner support becomes a source of strength, helping her to recover more quickly and with less emotional turmoil. Resilience isn't about avoiding pain or hardship. It's about moving through it with self-kindness and patience. Each time she faces a challenge with compassion, she strengthens her ability to overcome adversity without losing her sense of self-worth. Self-compassion also allows a woman to set healthier goals and expectations. Often, people set goals based on external validation or unrealistic standards, pushing themselves to the point of burnout to prove their worth. A self-compassionate woman, however, approaches her goals with balance. She sets aspirations that align with her values and well-being, rather than those rooted in comparison or competition. Self-compassion allows her to pursue her ambitions without harsh self-imposed pressures. She learns to pace herself, recognizing that growth is a journey and that pushing too hard can lead to exhaustion or disillusionment. By setting compassionate goals, she cultivates a sustainable path of growth that supports both her well-being and her aspirations. Practicing self-compassion also improves her relationships with others. When she is kind and understanding toward herself, she is more likely to extend the same grace to those around her. Self-compassion fosters empathy, allowing her to approach others with patience and understanding rather than judgment or resentment. She becomes less reactive and more open, recognizing that everyone is doing the best they can with their unique challenges. This empathy enriches her relationships, creating deeper connections based on mutual respect and compassion. By treating herself with kindness, she creates a positive ripple effect, radiating her compassion outward and fostering an environment of acceptance and support for those in her life. Self-compassion also empowers her to be authentic. When she stops judging herself, she becomes more comfortable embracing her true self, imperfections and all. She no longer feels the need to hide her vulnerabilities or pretend to be something she's not. Instead, she finds strength in her authenticity, allowing herself to show up fully as she is. This authenticity is magnetic, attracting people and opportunities that align with her true nature rather than a curated version of herself. By embracing self-compassion, she becomes free to express her thoughts, feelings, and dreams openly, cultivating a life that reflects her genuine self rather than one shaped by societal expectations. Moreover, self-compassion teaches her to celebrate her achievements, big or small. In a world that often emphasizes improvement and progress, it's easy to overlook personal accomplishments, dismissing them as insignificant or unworthy of recognition. But self-compassion encourages her to honor her efforts, to take pride in her progress, and to acknowledge the hard work she puts into her journey. She learns to celebrate each step, recognizing that her worth is not determined by grand achievements, but by her consistent commitment to growth and self-discovery. This practice of self-celebration boosts her confidence and reinforces her sense of self-worth, allowing her to continue her journey with enthusiasm and pride. Finally, self-compassion creates an inner peace that supports her overall well-being. When she treats herself with kindness, she reduces the mental and emotional stress that often accompanies self-criticism and perfectionism. This peace radiates throughout her life, influencing how she handles challenges, relationships, and goals. With self-compassion, she builds a foundation of inner stability, knowing that no matter what happens, she can rely on her own kindness and understanding. This inner peace doesn't mean she will never face hardship, rather, it means she can face it with a calm and resilient spirit. Her self-compassion becomes an unwavering source of support, guiding her through life's ups and downs with grace, patience, and unshakable self-worth. Taking time for reflection is a profound act of self-discovery and personal growth that allows a woman to evaluate her path, intentions, and overall progress. In the hustle and bustle of everyday life, it's easy to get swept up in responsibilities, goals, and obligations, often losing touch with one's deeper desires and motivations. Reflection provides a dedicated pause, an opportunity to step back and observe oneself and one's journey with clarity. This practice is essential for anyone, especially a woman who chooses to walk her own path, as it enables her to realign with her purpose, redefine her goals, and make conscious decisions moving forward. Through reflection, she reconnects with her true self and gains insight into her actions, choices, and beliefs, creating a life that is authentic and fulfilling. Reflection is more than just thinking back on events. It is an intentional process of self-inquiry. It involves asking deep, open-ended questions that probe into one's motivations, challenges, and values. She might ask herself, what did I learn from this experience, or how did this situation make me feel? And why, through such questions, she uncovers layers of insight that may have gone unnoticed. Reflection transforms her experiences into valuable lessons, turning both triumphs and trials into sources of wisdom. This reflective process allows her to take ownership of her journey, recognizing her role in each situation and understanding how her choices shape her life. In doing so, she cultivates a greater awareness of her thoughts and actions, empowering herself to make more informed and intentional decisions in the future. One of the most powerful aspects of reflection is its ability to reveal patterns and recurring themes in her life. By consistently engaging in reflection, she may begin to notice trends in her behavior, relationships, or reactions. Perhaps she realizes she has a habit of overcommitting herself, or maybe she sees a pattern of seeking validation from external sources. These patterns offer valuable clues about areas where she may need to set boundaries, address limiting beliefs, or adjust her priorities. Recognizing these recurring themes allows her to break free from cycles that no longer serve her, enabling her to make choices that align more closely with her authentic self. This heightened awareness becomes a guiding light, helping her navigate her path with intention rather than being driven by subconscious habits or societal pressures. Reflection also fosters gratitude, an essential quality for finding contentment and joy in life. When she takes the time to reflect, she can appreciate her progress, the challenges she has overcome, and the people who have supported her along the way. Reflection reminds her to acknowledge the small victories that might otherwise go unnoticed and to celebrate her efforts, even when the results aren't immediately visible. This practice of gratitude helps shift her focus from what's lacking or unfulfilled to the abundance and growth already present in her life. By cultivating gratitude through reflection, she learns to value each moment and experience as a stepping stone on her journey, finding joy in the process rather than solely in the outcome. A key part of reflection is gaining clarity on one's goals and aspirations. Without regular reflection, it's easy to drift through life, pursuing goals that may not truly align with one's values or long-term vision. By pausing to reflect, a woman can assess whether her actions are bringing her closer to her desired future or if she's being sidetracked by distractions or societal expectations. She asks herself, is this truly what I want? Or does this align with my values and vision? This clarity allows her to refine her goals, focusing her energy on pursuits that are meaningful and fulfilling. Reflection provides a compass, directing her actions toward goals that resonate with her heart and soul, rather than goals rooted in comparison or external validation. In addition to goal setting, reflection enhances self-compassion. When she takes time to look back on her journey, she gains a more compassionate perspective on her struggles and setbacks. She can see the courage it took to face challenges, the resilience she demonstrated in difficult times, and the strength that carried her forward. Through reflection, she becomes her own supporter, acknowledging the hardships she has overcome and recognizing her own growth. Rather than dwelling on mistakes or regrets, she views them as integral parts of her learning process. This self-compassion fosters a gentle, nurturing relationship with herself, allowing her to move forward with kindness rather than self-criticism. Reflection also serves as a means of recalibration, helping her adjust her course as needed. Life is dynamic and priorities can shift as she grows and evolves. Regular reflection provides an opportunity to reassess her path, ensuring that her actions are aligned with her current values and desires. She might discover that what once brought her joy no longer resonates, or that a new passion has emerged. By reflecting on these changes, she remains adaptable, allowing her journey to unfold organically rather than rigidly adhering to past plans. This willingness to recalibrate keeps her life fresh and aligned with her evolving self, making her journey more rewarding and authentic. Another benefit of reflection is that it enhances her decision-making. When a woman takes time to reflect, she builds a repository of insights and lessons from past experiences. She can draw upon this wisdom when facing new challenges or opportunities, making choices that are informed by her previous growth. Reflection sharpens her intuition, allowing her to tap into her inner wisdom and make decisions with confidence. By learning from her past, she becomes less likely to repeat mistakes or fall into patterns that hinder her progress. This reflective insight empowers her to make decisions that are aligned with her purpose and true desires, ensuring that each choice she makes propels her forward on her unique path. Reflection also provides a moment of stillness in a world that often values constant productivity and achievement. It allows her to pause, breathe, and reconnect with her inner self, creating a space for mindfulness and presence. This stillness nurtures her soul, offering a respite from the demands and noise of daily life. In this reflective space, she can reconnect with her innermost thoughts, dreams, and desires, regaining a sense of inner peace and balance. By cultivating moments of stillness through reflection, she strengthens her ability to stay grounded and focused regardless of the external pressures or distractions she may encounter. Another important aspect of reflection is the opportunity it offers for self-celebration. So often achievements and progress are overlooked in favor of what's next, but reflection allows her to honor her efforts and acknowledge her accomplishments. This self-celebration is an act of self-love, reinforcing her self-worth and boosting her confidence. Each time she reflects on her achievements, no matter how small, she affirms her capability and resilience, motivating her to continue her journey with a sense of pride and joy. By celebrating herself, she builds a positive inner dialogue that reinforces her strength and encourages her to keep moving forward. Finally, reflection helps her maintain perspective. It allows her to take a step back from her daily challenges and view her life as a whole. In doing so, she gains a greater understanding of the interconnectedness of her experiences, seeing how each event contributes to her growth and journey. Reflection reminds her that her path is unique, that each moment has its place, and that every experience adds depth and richness to her life. This broader perspective allows her to approach challenges with patience, knowing that setbacks are temporary and that each step, however small, contributes to her evolution. Through reflection, she finds peace in the journey itself, understanding that every experience is valuable, every lesson meaningful, and every moment a part of her unfolding story.